Thousands of years ago, long before cities, long before science, long before humans even dreamed of hospitals, survival depended on two things: courage and the ability to heal the wounded with nothing but the natural world around them. This is the forgotten story of how early humans treated injuries without medicine, and how every method, every trick, every instinct eventually shaped the foundation of modern healing. Our story begins in a world that was wild, unforgiving, and extremely dangerous. A world where every step carried risk. Sharp stones, deep forests, powerful animals, and unpredictable climates were all waiting to test human survival. A simple fall could mean death, a scratch could turn into a deadly infection, and a broken bone could change a person's entire destiny. In this harsh environment lived a young hunter named Aruk, part of a small tribe that moved across ancient grasslands. The mornings were cold, the winds were sharp, and every day was a battle for food and shelter. But this tribe had something special, knowledge passed from one generation to the next, knowledge that came from watching nature, experimenting, and sometimes pure luck. One early morning, when the sun was barely touching the horizon, Aruk and a group of hunters tracked a large deer across rocky terrain. It was their only hope for food that week. The ground was slippery with frost, the cliffs were steep, but the tribe had no choice. Hunger was a bigger enemy than fear. As Aruk moved forward, his foot landed on a loose stone. In one split second, the rock rolled, his balance slipped, and he crashed onto the jagged ground. A sharp edge sliced deep into his leg. Pain shot through his body like fire, and before he could react, he twisted his ankle under his own weight. He screamed, not from fear, but from the overwhelming shock of the impact. His tribe rushed to him, because in those days, an injured hunter did not only risk his own life, but the survival of the entire group. Without hesitation, two men lifted him, each one taking an arm. Another pressed his hands firmly on the bleeding wound. Their first aid wasn't based on science, it was based on instinct. Stop the bleeding, keep him conscious, bring him home. Back at the camp, the tribe gathered around him, their faces full of worry. They all knew that a wound like this could quickly turn fatal. Infection was a silent killer, and no one wanted to lose Aruk. The tribe's healer, an elderly woman named Suna, stepped forward. She was not called a doctor, but in their world, she was the closest thing to one. Years of watching nature had taught her what plants closed wounds, what roots eased pain, and what methods helped broken bones heal straight. She knelt beside Aruk and examined the deep cut. Blood was still flowing fast, so she immediately grabbed a handful of forest moss, soft, absorbent, and dry. She pressed it firmly onto the wound. Moss acted like nature's sponge, drawing the blood into its fibers. Then she reached for one of her most trusted tools, spider webs. They hung from a nearby tree, thin and delicate, but incredibly strong. She wrapped the webbing over the moss. The sticky threads tightened when pressed, sealing the wound much like a modern bandage. But Suna knew the real danger wasn't the bleeding, it was the unseen threat of infection. In this world, a single infected cut could take a life within days. So she washed the wound with clean running water from the nearby stream. Early humans didn't understand bacteria, but they knew one rule: moving water heals, still water kills. Then she crushed tree resin, thick, golden, and fragrant. Resin was sticky, antiseptic, and kept insects away. She spread it carefully over the wound, forming a natural protective seal. Aruk groaned in pain as she tightened animal skin straps around his leg, yet he stayed awake. Staying conscious was important. Losing awareness was dangerous in their world. As the sun set, the tribe built a fire around him. The warmth relaxed his trembling body. The crackling sound steadied his breathing. Some people shared stories to keep his mind alert. Others hummed soft chants that had been used for generations to calm wounded warriors.
That night, while Aruk slept, the tribe took turns watching him. In ancient times, healing was a group effort. Everyone played a role. Everyone had responsibility. The next morning, swelling had begun around his ankle. Suna knew exactly what to do. She placed smooth, cold river stones along the swollen area. The cold reduced inflammation, slowed down internal bleeding, and eased the pain naturally. Then she prepared something bitter but powerful, willow bark tea. Early humans didn't know chemistry, but through centuries of trial and error, they discovered that willow bark reduced pain. Today, scientists know it contains the same ingredient found in aspirin. As days passed, Aruk's wound began to close, but then the skin around it turned red and hot. The tribe recognized this warning sign. Infection was trying to take hold. Suna didn't panic. She reached for a golden liquid treasured by ancient healers, honey. Thick, sweet, and naturally antibacterial, honey had been discovered long before humans invented medicine. She spread it across the wound. Within hours, the redness began to lessen. To protect the healing flesh, she coated it with warm animal fat and wrapped it tightly with clean leaves. This acted as a natural barrier, keeping dirt, insects, and bacteria away. But Aruk's ankle was still badly damaged. A broken or twisted bone could change his life forever. He would no longer be able to hunt, and in those days that meant becoming a burden to the tribe. To prevent that, Suna placed 2 straight wooden sticks along his leg, the earliest form of a splint. She tied them securely with plant fibers. This kept the bone in place, allowing it to heal correctly. For weeks, Aruk couldn't walk. Children brought him water, hunters shared his food, elders sat beside him telling stories of past injuries and survivors who returned stronger. The tribe didn't just heal wounds, they healed spirits. Slowly, day by day, Aruk felt strength returning to his leg. The swelling faded, the pain lessened, and the wound developed a firm layer of new skin. The healers cleaned it daily, replacing moss, reapplying honey, and adjusting the bandages. One evening, after nearly a moon cycle, Aruk stood up, carefully, shakily, but proudly. His tribe erupted in cheers, not because the wound had healed, but because their knowledge had worked. This moment proved something powerful. Early humans didn't just survive the world, they adapted to it, they learned from it, they created medicine from nothing. They used moss before bandages existed. They used resin before antibiotics were discovered. They used willow bark before painkillers were invented. They used splints long before hospitals were built. Every technique they created became a building block for the medical science we rely on today. Aruk looked at the fire that night, the same fire that had kept him alive, and realized something profound. Human survival was not an accident. It was the result of curiosity, courage, experimentation, and the unbreakable bond between people. Even without modern tools, early humans turned nature into a hospital, the forest into a pharmacy, and their unity into the strongest medicine of all. From their world of danger and uncertainty came the earliest roots of healing, and because of them, because of their discoveries, humanity survived long enough to create the medicine we know today. This is how early humans treated injuries without medicine, and this is how they taught us that survival is the greatest doctor of all.